You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Evening and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. Hey, Tamara, how you doing? We're live here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com.
I was just putting on my phone. I'm on the air, so people will leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm on the air, dude.
Yeah, put it off to the side. Put it off
right?
That way
you
won't be like this all day.
Yeah, night, okay? That's the thing. Like, it's just like shit. Like, yeah, I'm on the air. Like, leave me alone. So yeah, I just actually, that's what I was just posting. I'm on the air.
You're on there.
With my half-singed hair and my smoky smelling body, and I've been just running like a mad demon all day.
Well, I saw you post a picture there about doing some yard cleanup. So you just cleaning up some old brush that's laying around the yard, or?
Well, I had a friend that came down a few months ago, I guess a couple months ago now, and had a friend take down a lot of my juniper and the willow, and then it was all piled up against the fence. I figured I'd burn it, right? And then we got the fire ban. So now the fire ban's taken off. It's cooler today. It was a bit cooler today, and I was home, so I figured, what a great day to not start trying to clean up some of this mess. So I lit a bonfire. Yep.
Lit a bonfire. Now, did you cut your grass?
No, it was too rough. So it's a bit long and wrinkly out there, and I planned on cutting it before I start, like before the show kind of thing. I had planned, and then I ran out of time, and my battery was dead, and shit happens. So I'll go more. But
no, you got it plugged in.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, what's your evening weather's like going to be like? Is it going to be raining all night? So it's going to be all on grass. Once it gets wet, it gets harder to.
Well, apparently I can't even do that now because Taylor just came in and said that it's raining. So I told him to put the lid on the fire pit and come in because it's raining. I didn't know it was supposed to rain. I didn't look because I've been so busy trying to get my tomatoes all down today. I got straw for my chickens. I got them all bedded. I dug up my potatoes. I did a lot today. Went protested this morning at 9, and then after that did my show. So I've been like on the go since 7 o'clock this morning.
Go, eh?
But like I said, I get one day off a week, so everything's got to be done. And
yeah, one day, just today, just the Wednesday.
Yeah, just the Wednesday. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, just so you know, like I don't know how your evenings are, but we got frost warnings here.
That's why I was pulling the tomatoes down, and I got 2 squash left outside, or 3, I guess, on the vine, and I want to leave them because they're big, but they're not big enough. Like I'd prefer them to be a little bit bigger, but I hope it doesn't bite me in the ass.
Right. Well, cross your fingers. We still got. Well, we've cleaned out our garden. Other than we still got leeks and. So, but I'm looking at taking them out probably the next week or two.
I dug the potatoes that I wasn't going to grow. Like, I remember that plot of potatoes that I wasn't going to grow. Then I, realized that I'd spent all this money on these seed potatoes that I better put them in the ground. And then I had that potatoes that was a complete dub. I got 11 potatoes out of it. So I'm looking at them today going, well, I'm burning that, burning these bushes and stuff. Let's burn that stuff and dig those potatoes out. So I did a big, took a big chunk out. Sure as shit, I got potatoes. I got a half a 5-gallon bucket full of potatoes. And I didn't do anything. All I did was throw some sulfur on top of them, like once, and gave them a little bit of fertilizer and water them. I didn't mound them. Like you're supposed to keep mounding them, right?
Right.
I didn't do any of that. I just let them grow, and I got potatoes. Nice sized potatoes. I'm pretty happy.
Good. I was worried about before the show, before we went live, that the cat would come to the door during the broadcast. I never even thought about the dog. She's up there growling at me right now.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. So I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I know you keep everybody. You can keep everybody entertained for.
I'm always entertaining if nothing else. That's the thing. Like I said with Tao earlier when we first got started. Of course, a little whatever, wherever he went. I don't even know where he is. Bubba. Anyways, Bubba still hasn't found a home. So I'm still looking for a home for, my little Bubba. Kind of. Like I said, my husband says he's a hard no on Bubba, but if Bubba doesn't find a home, but yeah, we still have Bubba.
I'm back.
Like I said, dogs are important. I was telling everybody, like,
Yeah.
Bubba still needs a home. But if he doesn't find a home, then, but my
Yeah.
husband's like, you and your 500,000 cats. And I'm like,
Well, talking about dogs and homes, Ollie Dog Rescue there. He's got a couple dogs that he's got up for adoption.
right.
Yeah, they're always posting them. So whenever I see a post by them, I always make sure that I share it.
Yeah. We've got a rescue here in our area too that just brought 35 dogs up from a kill shelter in California. And I'm not sure how I feel about that because we've got so many dogs in Canada that need homes. Why are we bringing dogs up from the States? And all the, like there was just, that's my stance on that. I mean, I understand people want dogs, but and I don't want to see any dog harmed or killed or anything. And I wish I
Or
could
left
do
homeless.
or
Yeah,
left.
sometimes pets are left homeless because the owners are killed or they are separated from the.
Right. So, but again, like we've got so many homeless dogs in Canada. Why are we bringing up dogs from the States? Is my thing.
Mm, well, I know. Something I never even thought of before.
Right. Exactly. You don't think of those things.
No.
We think it's a dog and it needs a home, and I'm not all for that. But there's so many, like I said, we've got reservations with res dogs that are running loose. There's no spay neuter programs for our indigenous, people on their lands. There's no veterinarians that are, they don't have their own veterinarian clinics on their reservations and stuff. So they have animals that are left unneutered and unspayed, and then they have packs of them. And it's really difficult to maintain them. So, I think that's something that we should look at as, maybe a spay and neuter program for our First Nations people.
Maybe.
Right.
Now, there's been a few headlines in the news lately that I'd like to discuss with you. And one of them happens to deal with that Canadian medical cannabis registration is at its all-time low since cannabis legalization. Numbers have dropped. Not as many patients are getting licensed.
People see it. They do. They don't want to incur the cost because it still costs money to get a substantial amount to grow, or you have to go through a licensed producer to get a license through these LPs and stuff. And a lot of them just couldn't be bothered. They can work.
Yeah. They say that one reason
First Nation corporations that have these better products, right?
Yeah. They say one reason for the trend is the increasing availability of cannabis by the expanding storefronts. So you got all the storefronts, and then you got, as you said, you got the indigenous community with all their storefronts. And we have 1,700 stores here in the province, but that doesn't even count the indigenous stores.
No, and like I said, there's still like a cost. Like any clinic, even the one that has offered me to help me get patients signed up. These clinics are looking for people to help them because they're not finding. There's no. Same with consultations. Nobody's looking for cannabis consults anymore. There's just, I don't understand how any of these businesses are running or thinking that they're going to run because Google's a very good friend and we've always known that. Plus we've got our own education. We've all been doing this for a really long time and cannabis is accessible almost on every corner.
Well, yeah, and a lot of the fight that I know that I've been involved in has been access.
Yep, it was always about access. Dignified access.
People are going to the stores. For example, some people don't want to go through all that long journey of getting the paperwork done and sending it in and waiting for Health Canada for approvals. They're just going to go to the store and find some product that works for what they also.
Yeah, and you can grow 4 plants. So a lot of them too, like to get a licensing for 3 grams is 5 plants, or 1 gram is 5 plants. So you get a license for 3 grams, which would give you 15 plants. And that's overwhelming for some people. They're thinking, how can I grow 15 plants? I don't have the room for 15 plants. And we're talking like patients that are living on disability. I can't afford to grow 15 plants. right? So
Mhm.
there's so many things that have, been barriers for patients for decades. That I think that we were so busy fighting for access that we overlooked a lot of the obstacles and barriers that people with medical licensing had.
Yeah.
Came to grow.
There is a lot big problem, and not only the growing part, but the knowledge of how to make the products that they want to be
Well,
able to
and here's
make.
the thing, you have to cure your cannabis, right? Like I think a lot of people you just grow it, you dry it, you leave it on a screen, and then it dries up and you smoke it. There's a little more to it, and I don't think a lot of us, even when I first started growing, actually realized what the actual process is to get it cured properly so that it actually tastes and smells and the terpenes actually come out properly, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't for actually McMahon and his YouTube channel, that's how I learned how to cure so that it was a lot better. I'm not saying it's perfect, but there is a process, and I'm sure you're. I'm
Well,
sure you're curious.
I always do the burping process, and that can go on for weeks.
Exactly. We're talking the same. We're talking the exact same
Yeah.
thing. A lot of people don't look into that. They just think it grows on a branch, and you just cut it off and you just smoke it, and then can't understand why it doesn't taste good. It tastes like good. It tastes like shit.
Hay. It's like hay.
It tastes like grass clippings, and
Oh,
and that's true, and it does. Like I'm not even gonna lie to you, it absolutely does taste like grass clippings if you don't cure it properly, right? You just don't get the same.
now part of the thing is that there's a lot of tax on medicinal cannabis as well as on the recreational cannabis. But it'd be nice that they would eliminate the tax off of the medicinal stuff. But apparently, they don't want to do that, according to this report, because then people will go the medicinal route in order to be able to get their cannabis cheaper because it'd be tax free. So patients are having to pay tax
In
because the
order
government's worried that people are going to bypass and go the medical route in order not to pay tax. So that means that they're not going to trust the doctors who would be seeing the patients.
Well, my questions, I've always kind of questioned the nurse practitioner issue on signing for license for medical patients. Because if doctors aren't getting the information for cannabinoid therapy and they're not
Yeah.
doctors, the nurse practitioners are getting less. So you got a nurse practitioner that's willing to sign a license, and you have to wonder how educated that person is on cannabinoids. Just saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, quite
I've got
often.
all the questions because I'm one of those centralists and a skeptic where I don't just believe everything somebody tells me. It's always like, really? Well, there's got to be
Yeah,
something
you
wrong,
look at you do your own research at
right?
that point. Yeah, yeah,
I
and
mean,
go
like I said, the
look
nurse
for some.
practitioner thing was always a bit wishy-washy with me. Just saying.
Yeah,
And when I went
the
through the license producer through this medical cannabis, whatever it was, Canamed, whatever, online, Namaste MD or whatever it
yeah.
was,
There's a bunch of them. Yeah.
right? And the license was free, right? But he would maximally only give me 15 grams due to affordability. I didn't feel that my 20-gram license that I already had prior to would be able to, I'd be able to handle that like financially using
Right.
it, right? And I'm like, okay, well then I just want to be able to grow up myself. At that point, the license went from being free to being $850,
Oh, gee, that's a big jump in fees.
right?
Wow,
So that's why I haven't had a medical license for 4 years. I don't
four
have.
years, eh? Yeah.
No, I grow what
Well,
whatever.
as your doctor told you, your doctor said to you, which brings us back to the store end of things, is why should I sign you for a license when you can just go to the
Oh yeah,
store?
you got 15
But,
grams a day. Go to the store and buy. You can buy 30 grams a day. Why do I have to give you a license for that? And that was her stance, and her stance still is. But she also knows that we talk about it every time I go to the doctor. We all know I've been going to the doctor a lot. She also knows that I use cannabis to eat, and if I didn't smoke cannabis, I don't eat. And this new
mhm,
job where I've got my little vape pen and stuff, but I mean I'm home all day now, so I can have
right.
time to have something to eat at least once a day, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're not sleeping. It's hard to eat when you're sleeping. Yeah, yeah. Now that brings us to the concern where you got to go back to question 5.2 there in the Cannabis Act review. Is the non-medical storefronts adequate in order to replace the medical program? And that's just basically a condensed version or
Well, like I mentioned
whatever.
on my show this morning too. Like I asked, like, we keep hearing these rumors about, increase in milligrams for edibles and increases for this and that. But where, when, where, and when?
Yeah,
You know,
I've actually read somewhere there was one suggestion from one organization of going to 50 milligrams per instead of the 10 milligrams to up it to 50 milligrams. I was quite surprised. Yeah,
right, but when and who
I can't
recommends,
remember who it was now.
right? And that's what I mean. Like I know there's been rumor bills about changing
Mhm.
it, making it limited, and blah blah blah. But the only way we're ever going to hear that is from the Montreal Gazette. And I haven't
Oh
seen any.
yeah. It's just organizations talking or people who submitted some stuff or whatever.
And I agree, but the policy
That
hasn't.
information isn't coming from the government themselves.
Well, and as far as I know, nobody's looking at changing that policy in the government. Like there's
Well,
been,
they're supposed to be reviewing the whole thing, right?
yeah,
Well,
but again,
they have that list of stuff that they're reviewing.
but there's
Yeah.
so many other things they're revamping right now. Like I don't know where it is on the list. I could go through my liberal list stuff, to be fair, because I got an inside window. We all know that, and find out
Mhm.
exactly where that policy is sitting. I just have to go through my liberal list. I never thought
Right.
about that. Oh, that just
Well,
dinged that little light one in my head. I never thought about that.
no, it's no, it needs to be changed. There's lots of things that need to be changed, obviously,
I
but the medical patients numbers going down, people requesting them for the program itself is concerned. I can see like there's a lot of people that they've got legit concerns. Like for example, like you're gonna go talk to a bud tender about your medicine for your 5-month-old child who's dealing with things.
No,
Yeah.
especially because that bud tender's taken a sell it right program through whichever province that has absolutely no education.
Yeah.
And it's not a medical professional.
No.
That any bud tender in any store, even the dispensaries that we had prior, our medical dispensaries where we have, I still don't believe that they should be giving out medical advice either, honestly.
The
They're not trained in medicine. They're trained in opinions and case study. Yes, and yes, we know, but it's not up to me, you, or anybody else as patients to give out anybody else medical advice because we're not doctors. We're not.
we're not doctors. We always, as we have here in our
Experience, yes, I can definitely tell you my experience with cannabis. I can tell you other stories and testimonials of other people's experiences
yeah.
with cannabis. But I also add every time that it's not for everybody. And
Oh
everybody
yeah.
either is an aspirin, right?
And either cheeseburgers.
Exactly. So or tomatoes. Some people are allergic to tomatoes. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's not the same for everybody, no matter how you consume it. Whether you're smoking it, you're eating it, you're rubbing it topically on your body, it doesn't matter how you're consuming it. It still might not be for you. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that it's
Oh
not good for somebody
yeah.
else, right?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
And that's
There's
everybody's
lots of. I know. I was on a drug for several years that I had to take through intravenous, and I know, like I took it for years until I ended up with other health issues, and I stopped it. But I know a guy who tried it once, and the first time he was on it, he ended up in the hospital.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different reaction to everything. No matter what, like my dad's allergic to penicillin. One shot of penicillin would kill my father, right? Where penicillin is regularly used all over the world as antibiotic for everybody on a regular basis, right? But my
Yeah.
dad, one shot of antibiotics like that penicillin, he'd be dead. So you know what I mean? Like so many things again that people like aspirin, Tylenol, Advil,
Oh
like
well, I was just with the patient. Spent some time yesterday in the hospital with them, and then I brought them home. And that patient was informed not to take aspirin.
right.
Yeah.
It's a blood thinner. It can actually like thin your blood out so much that you can bleed
Yeah.
out. Like
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
grandmother,
Exactly.
again, my dad's dad was a hemophiliac and couldn't take aspirin either. Then had a heart
Mhm.
condition, yet kind of needed the aspirin for the heart condition and couldn't take it. So, like,
Wow.
yeah, that's a puppy playing with its mom. This,
Plain.
yeah,
Oh, sounds like they're eating each other.
they're just little turkeys who got that little. They've got a different kind of personality, and
Yeah.
he's only got some Yorkie in him. He's but yeah, But yeah, it was.
Yeah. Now, some other stuff I saw a headline of, and it says that cannabis use in Canada hasn't increased because of legalization in the last year.
Hmm.
Yeah, between 2021 and 2022, which is good to see. You know, that was one of the things that they were concerned about.
Yeah, that everybody's going to get addicted to cannabis and they're all going to bunches of.
Yeah,
They should be more worried about fentanyl. Like seriously, and all the other
yeah.
drugs going around because like seriously, I pull into the cannabis store today. I look over and these guys are smoking crack in the car next to me. And I live in a little town. It's fucking like
Yeah. But it's that was all part of the campaign, the fear mongering campaign that everybody all of a sudden was going to be.
actually it's funny because even in the last couple of days with some of the forums I've been on, they come to the last thing they can come up with after trying to like have a discussion or an argument or whatever on Facebook is keyboard warriors is they come at me as, well, you're a pothead. I'm like, that's the last thing they can come up with at the end of it all. Oh, Tamara, you don't even have a job. You have a job. And it's like, you pothead. And you're just like, that's the
The
best.
argument is over. The
That's
discussion is over.
right? Like, that's the best you got. Oh my God. Like, seriously. There's all kinds of other things I could be, but thanks for,
If I'm such a pothead, how come you ran out of stuff to say or
you know what I say to a lot of people too when they're bitching and complaining about blah, blah, blah? I say, well, you can thank a pothead for you having cerebral when we had COVID. Because if it wasn't for the taxes off cannabis sales from, legalization, there wouldn't have been enough money in the coffers to feed your sorry asses during COVID. Yeah. So sit the hell down because, thank a pothead for you having fucking CRB. Because, and like I said, I wish the Liberals would come out and actually start talking more about the revenue that's coming off cannabis. And I know people don't want to talk about the taxes, but there's a lot of revenue that goes back to the provinces.
Yeah. Well, there's things like OCS that makes all like the Ontario government is making all kinds of money. They marked up product 42%.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that. But the money, you have to remember, like corruption. You got Doug Ford, right? You have to maybe in Ontario, where the people have to start asking is, where's the money going to? Where's the tax money? Where's the markup for this going to? Like same as they did in Alberta and some of the provinces with lottery sales. Like a lot of the schools and stuff decided they didn't want any of the contributions to the charity from lottery because they couldn't, you know what I mean? It's kind of seedy or gambling. Like there's, avails of gambling as a charity for their school kind of thing, right? Same with these bingo, it's all gambling. So it's the same thing with cannabis and alcohol. They don't want the money for charity, but where's the money going then? It should be going into healthcare. It should be going into infrastructure. If anything else, look at how badly roads need to be fixed and bridges and trains, all kinds of transportation and transit that needs to be fixed. Like, hello.
We got lots here that needs to be fixed. I know that. I know that right out here.
Absolutely. But again, that's up to people that are like cannabis users, like ourselves, going to our MPs or MLAs or MPPs or whatever you guys call them in Ontario and say, so I know I'm paying a lot of taxes on cannabis. Where's the money?
Where's it going to?
Right? And ask them for a breakdown. And if we don't start firmly asking, because they claim that they've made like $5.8 billion on cannabis revenues per the federal government, and that was last year. I'm not sure what the new revenues are for this year off taxation. The federal government is supposed to keep 25%, and the federal government then transfers 75% of the cannabis taxation base back to the province, and the province is supposed to distribute that to the municipalities that opted in on cannabis stores. That's how the breakdown is supposed to go. But is
well, it just happens. We'll get into that soon, but keep going. Sorry.
No, that's true though. Like,
I know.
We're all screaming about money for housing. We're all screaming about this money that we don't have in our municipalities for building houses and getting housing built. Where's all the cannabis?
Well, here you go. Here's There's an article that's out there right now that is talking about the cities in British Columbia. They haven't received their tax, their share of the excise tax yet.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, municipalities and people, like I said, people have to start asking. So my MLA sits on the other side of the aisle at the NDP. He's a conservative, he's a liberal. Well, they're not. They're called the BC United now. They changed their name.
Okay.
They don't have liberal behind them. They're called the BC United Party. Anyway, that's who our opposition is. We have NDP in power here, and that's who my MLA is. He's opposition, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They're looking for some money here. They're actually they're in a convention of municipalities right now, and they're going to put a resolution through.
Good, as they should be, because, like I said, there's a lot of revenue that's come off cannabis. As they're stouting their about how much taxation they've gotten and how much revenue and profit the grocery stores are fucking making. How about you guys fucking start kicking back the fucking money that you're getting off your greed off cannabis and liquor and tobacco, for that matter? Like, let's be reasonable. How much more corporate money has been going, and how many profits, never mind the grocery stores, has tobacco and alcohol gotten during these times? So you want to talk about corporate greed? Start ripping it down. Cars, the big corporate, the car that, that are on strike in the States, the big car companies that are all on strike.
I saw there was just a tentative deal that was done with one of them. But I think isn't this now they'll go from one company, they'll go to the next one, because each company gets a.
Did you realize those poor people down there have been making $15.85 for the last 15 fucking years? And any new hire makes the same amount of money as somebody that's working there for 15 fucking years. And then they stay
$15 where at
$15.85 in the States, and all these little on these plants in the States. So
really, that's all they're making down there is they're making minimum wage.
Exactly. So back 15 years ago, when the big cars needed a big bailout, they were asked to take off their pensions and roll back their wages to this amount of money. So for 15 years, and they were told, when things got better, we'll give it all back. For 15 years, they have done nothing. That's why they striked. Because for 15 years, though, if you work there for 15 years, you're making $15.85. But somebody that was hired last week is making $15.85. They had no pension, no benefits. So and then these guys are claiming, GM's CEO $30 million a year in wages, and you can't give back to your workers. Shut the fucking front door. That's seriously.
$30 million in wages.
So they were making $15.85. And 15 years ago, that was a decent wage. But over the last 15 years, that's minimum wage in British Columbia, not even. And a lot of minimum wage, not for anybody. But again, you work there for 15 years, you're making $15.85 with no wage increase. And somebody that was hired last week is still making the same amount of money as you.
Same amount of money. Yeah, and that's, well,
right?
If that's what the job pays, because that's what's in the contract, it doesn't matter whether you've been there for 20 years or whether you've been there for 2 weeks.
With no wage increases.
That's what the job pays in the contract. That's what that's what everybody gets. But and believe I know, because I where I was working before I got sick, I had people saying the same thing to me, that I had been there, even at 15 years at that time. Like I was there for 22 when I got sick, but 15 years into it, people would say, well, you've been here all this time now, I shouldn't be making the same money as you.
No. And that's what happened in most jobs. Like you started a job, you get $9.50. Everybody else's wages goes up, but yours don't. And you sit there still making the same amount of money, and it's just like, okay, like how is that fair? And I totally feel where they're coming from. I completely understand where they're coming from. And you have to keep with. But I work for like non-union companies like McCain's Foods, for example. We got a 3.5 wage increase every 3 months due to cost of living. So there are some companies out there that do maintain a 3.5 wage increase every 3 months due to cost of living, and other companies that just never do. And there was no union at McCain's, and I don't believe that Cavendish Farms, who've now bought McCain's, have a union there either.
Right.
But some jobs need unions, and some jobs
don't
need one, I guess.
Yeah, there's good and pros on both sides.
Absolutely. You betcha.
Yeah, I've been on both sides.
Yeah, I actually have never been a union. Never been part of a union.
Oh, and just they were the jobs where I was at. Yeah.
But my mom was. My mom was always union as a public servant for the federal government. Mom was always union.
No, not me. I probably spent more time out of a union than in one, but yeah, sometimes there's like I said, there's good points and bad points on both sides. Well,
Right.
time for us to head to break. Tamara and I will be right back. I'm going to say probably about 3 minutes and 40 seconds, and we'll see you all then.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Let's share Pace everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Pace Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Welcome back. You're watching the Pace Radio Show here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. Excuse me. Before the commercial break, we were talking about a couple of things that were going on in the news, as well as a few other topics. I see here as well. I got another one here which is coming to from BC as well. Sort of a theme for most of it. Being that you're in BC.
There's a lot that's going on here. Like, even like I said, like, you know, as far as events, like we were going to talk about cups and stuff. Like Asia just finished having pod fights where they where they rented a hall and they rented a bunch of stuff and they had a great time. And they had like vendors there, like people showed up with their booths, with their, with their medical products and whatever, right? And they had no issues.
Was this the
Pot fights.
the pot fights?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And they were actually a great big, like, blow up, ring, and they wore big gloves and they beat each other up. And Jeff Lindstrom, like, beat up a mannequin, and McMahon was a referee, and it was hilarious, right? But it got the community together. Then I think that's one thing I touched on this morning is our community still needs to keep in touch with each other. We still are a community, no matter whether we're legal or not legal, medical licensing or not medical licensing. We still are cannabis consumers. And
so did they air that anywhere?
Yeah, it was all live on the Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it looked like it was a blast. Like I said, they had vendors, and it was good.
Yeah. Now talking about competitions and cups and things like that. This past Monday, they announced the winners of the Karma Cup competition, which was all different this year compared to the previous years. Sarah has brought it into the legal market, with the legal market involved in things. I've seen people who love the idea, and I've seen people who don't like the idea, but everybody's got their own opinion, and she has her opinion as well. And
well, I think the fact that a lot of not a lot, but a few of our legacy people are now licensed producers. Like, let's be clear here. Like, Lisa Campbell.
Well, she's not alone.
She's not alone. Lisa Campbell, Remo, and Sandra.
A lot of people have gone into the legal market.
You betcha. A lot of them have gotten into the microcraft and gotten their licensing and are doing and working within the legal market. And they're legacy people.
And I'm
so
sure some
again,
of them would say, some of them would probably say that, I fought for legalization and it's here.
As much as we don't want to like it, it is what it is. And like, as much as there's pros and cons, like what we said, I still remind myself that people are not getting arrested every day for a small possession of cannabis. We're not looking over our shoulders every day as we walk down the street because we might have a couple joints in our smoke pack. As you're going to, you're driving down the highway, you're going to a friend's house to go smoke, a couple doobies and have a coffee, and get pulled over and might end up in jail for the day. You know what I mean? Like, and I've been there so many times where I'm going to get, pick up an eighth of weed, just cut groceries, get pulled over, lose everything, and get thrown in jail for 5 hours, like, for a small possession of 3.5 grams of cannabis. Like, it was so ridiculous. So
I know somebody who had 3 grams of cannabis, and 40 years later, we're still having problems crossing the border.
I can't cross the border. I don't even dare. I go into 6 months of house arrest for 4 grams of cannabis in the mail, plus 2 prior possessions for less than an ounce of weed. Like, my criminal record is all cannabis for less than an ounce of weed, all of it. It's ridiculous.
You're so dangerous to society.
A 10-year firearm prohibition, thank God, is gone. Not that I would want to own a gun anyway, but still, the ridiculousness. So again, when I think about the fact that my son that smokes cannabis, who's 27 years old now, will never have to worry about having the issues I've had for smoking weed, right? And even my 13-year-old who is not interested in smoking weed, but if he ever is, will never have to have the stigma or have the issue of smoking a joint and worrying about not being able to cross the U.S. border. Like, it's ridiculous that I even have to.
Well, you may get the question someday, what was it like to smoke cannabis when it was illegal?
Terrifying.
So back to where we were. And that was about the Karma Cup that Sarah has brought into the legal world, and now it involves the licensed producers, and people judge different. There was 4 different judging packs that people could get, so it's done differently as far as the way it was distributed as well.
I doubt there's 120 entries.
What's that?
Was there 120 entries? Like, how many?
I don't know how many people entered. I haven't got a clue. I saw something about some 5,000.
20 entries of flour and 120 entries of extract and
yes.
And it was just ridiculous amounts
Right.
of
Yeah.
product, which
Yeah.
all the power to you.
That's
So,
the
like,
way it's, yeah,
right?
the way, from what she told us was that the there was like that many people who had entered as far as the companies or samples that were entered into it. Then they had the events where they had judges that were there and they brought it down, the numbers down, so that each category had 7. So you've gone from 123 entries total, let's say, of everything, down to 28 is what they had to do.
Under 30 grams in reality.
Yeah, it had to be under the 30 grams. So that's 28 grams, right? If you bought the whole thing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
So
legal.
it was,
And
it was legal.
being smart enough to figure that out, lady. Like, seriously, as long as you're gifting 30 grams, you can mail 30 grams, you can gift 30 grams, you can
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
as often as you possibly can. Just do it.
So yeah, everybody, whatever kit you bought, you got access to a website. You went in, you did your judging on things, and then they announced the finalists there a few weeks ago, and then at Monday's gala that they had. I haven't seen any pictures. I wasn't there either. But yeah, you can see that the winners are listed there. This is for the indica stuff, and that was ice cream cake by Royal Cannabis. To tell you the truth, I've never heard of Royal Cannabis, I don't think.
And that's the thing, like, we don't all get the same providers in each province because some don't provide, you know what I mean? Like,
because this was Ontario based, so yeah.
Right? So like in British Columbia, I can't get a Remo's joint, but you can get a Remo's joint in Ontario, which I think is ridiculous. And how many times we have said that that we can get stuff here that you can't get there, and I can get stuff here that you can't get there.
Yeah, I know, right? So Mauve and Herbs ripped off runts. Now I've tried some runts. I've liked that. Now I don't know if it was this particular runt.
Ripped of runts.
It was something that had runts in it, and actually, to tell you the truth, it was from Tribal Gardens. Yeah, and he's not a licensed producer.
Any of these providers, like I said, we've got like Organic Craft, right?
Yeah,
it's funny because it looks exactly like the Cannabis Culture logo with hot leaf.
Okay, so here's the hybrid and low key. Yeah.
Alberta Bud. Okay, I've heard of
Bud. I've heard of. I've actually they emailed me one time, and I had somebody they recommended on as a guest as well. Green Joy. I haven't even heard. Never even heard of
like I said, and when we first were given, and all the licensed producers came out, it was under Tweed, or it was under Tilray, or it was Aurora, or you know what I mean? Like there was like the big Canopy Growth.
Well,
I've never heard of any of these.
We've gone through. This is now the third. There's 4 categories. This is the third category, and none of the categories so far have had company that I don't know isn't one of the large producing companies that I've heard of, anyways.
I've heard of Alberta Bud. Tribal, I've heard of Tribal as well.
Have you?
Yeah, and Alberta. Again, I've heard of them, but I've never smoked because I don't believe that we get them out here.
Purple Gushers, Pineapple Buds. I've never heard of Pineapple Buds. Tribal. Oh. Like this is just from doing the news stories and stuff like that. Because I don't go into the stores a lot. To be looking for cannabis. I usually go in there looking for something I can't get my hands on. Like, a Karma Cup kit. That's my spot. And I can try it. Or I went and grabbed some cannabis from a friend of mine who is involved with a company out of Jamaica.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's another. We've got producers that are in Australia and producers in Jamaica that are. I don't understand how we're getting that product back into Canada.
Oh no! It's being produced here in Canada. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah.
misunderstood that then. I was
It's
thinking
being
like,
produced.
how are we bringing that back here?
Yeah, it's being produced here in Canada by Canadian growers. But the product, like the stuff comes basically, it's the genetics are coming out of Jamaica. Just that got it started, and then the company that has the license for it is growing it.
Right. Well, I know that there's been a couple people like, well, my friend Murray, right, in Australia, and he has to get, medical cannabis, and it's a different situation, but the same as it was back when we didn't have legalization of recreational and cannabis, or in Canada, it's kind of the same process with their medical program because they don't have legalized recreational like we do now. But they're still paying the same amount of money. Like it's still in Australian dollars, but they're still paying $70 a quarter, which is what we pay, $100 an ounce or $100 for half an ounce. Like it's still pretty similar in cost. They've got Canadian companies down there producing in Australia. So I
Oh
believe there's
yeah,
a tweet or somebody like that, or Canamat, or
yeah.
somebody big, corporate growers that first started out. But again, remember when we first got, the MMPR program, and we had like 413 providers, and we didn't even know who the fuck they were or where they were. And then
I remember
greenhouses in Redcliffe, and they were going to, have all these stacked up greenhouses of cannabis growing all through Redcliffe, and that fell apart. And there was
we weren't
just
even
like,
we weren't even allowed to know where they were located.
right, or exactly, or what they were producing, or how they're producing, or what pesticides they were using, or any of that stuff. But all of a sudden there was like, 2, and then there was 22, and then there was 422. It just was like ridiculous. Yeah, I remember that.
There we go. There, now I feel like I'm looking at you when I'm talking to you instead of looking away from you. Oh, she's got messages. I can hear the phone making noises. But yeah. Okay, let's see. Now, did you know that there was a lawsuit that was started in British Columbia that was started by the stores?
Which stores? The legal stores or the illegal stores?
Legal stores. Lawsuit filed by several BC cannabis retailers.
No.
They're suing the BC government.
They probably should be. It's ridiculous, some of the restrictions they've got and the hoops and stuff they have to go through. Because there's the Cannabis Act, it's the federal act, and then again you have to jump through the provincial hoops that you have to jump through whichever province, right?
Yeah.
Pricing sucks. Well, sure.
No, Peggy and Terry say that the pricing sucks.
Yeah. I know, and they're right. Because this, okay, so again, I went to the cannabis store today, 14 grams. At the end of the day, it was $119.99 on the sticker, and after you paid taxes, it was $134.
Oh, okay.
So you're paying $120, so not $119.99. Say $120, and then you're paying another $14 in frickin' tax, which is $7 GST and $7 GST, right?
Now, what if you bought a vape pen? Would you pay an extra tax? Does BC charge extra taxes for that?
Because 20% on a vape. So if you buy one of these little cartridges, you pay
the. They say why? Why is there a
because of harm reduction. Vaping is bad for you. It's like a cigarette. And because they've deemed vaping with flavors per se, yeah.
Yeah, but doesn't.
I know, and it's only
I stood there for many years. Talking about vaping of cannabis, and that was whole plant material versus something that's in a cap in a cartridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the pricing isn't helping anybody switch if they're trying to get people to switch. And as we said earlier, 42% markup, which is has been reduced. And I don't visit the stores enough to see if there was any. I saw some announcement in the paper that I don't know, something like 36 different products were going to be lowered down or in price wise, or 136 or something. And
they have sales all the time, depending on what they're like, and depending on the production. So a lot of these smaller, like micro crafters who don't produce a lot because you're only allowed to produce the size of, in between a blue line of a hockey, ring. Their pricing on those are always higher because they don't get as much production. But when you're dealing with a big licensed producer, prices are lower, right? You can get ounces for $100. It's not the greatest, but you can get them. Like there's always this one producer here in British Columbia, and it's just a straight either indica or sativa, and it's $80 an ounce with taxes. $100.
So, Peggy and Terry agree. It's a start. It's kind of
it is a start to begin with. But even like the black market, I have
just don't. We've mentioned this in past shows. When the global marijuana march, there was like 150 people there, not 25,000.
See, and that's the thing. We don't have the res here. Our res got shut down, and I found out why, and it had nothing to do with it being ran illegally. It had everything to do with a fire to start with, but there was also a murder out there.
Oh.
And I don't know all the details. I was just told that there was something that happened out there, and they were shut down.
Yeah.
So I don't know because
just that one location, or was there
there's only one. There's only one. There was only ever one.
Oh, there was just the one. Yeah. Okay. Well.
And like I said, I was told that they were raided, and I went, okay, well that's not. And then I heard that there was some other illicit things going on, and apparently then we had the fire rip through there as well, right? So, but again, all I know is that we don't have, and like I said, Creston, they're still affiliated with that, but they're still open out there on their res, but that's an hour and a half drive, which isn't that bad. But considering I can drive 2 blocks, or drive 2 blocks, or drive 2 blocks, or drive 2 blocks.
You're not like me, where I can go an hour either direction, east or west. And I can get anywhere around about 40 stores just from the res alone.
No.
There'll be at least 80 stores between the two of them.
Yeah, no. I mean, we have reses that are that close, right? Like, I mean, I've got a res that's 11 kilometers, and I've got another one that's an hour and a half. But like I said, the one on our res is shut down. Then there's the Blood Tribe, but the Blood Tribe Reserve in Alberta, no drugs. Absolutely not. They threw everybody off. That was even cannabis. The Blood Tribe in Alberta will not even recognize it as medicine. Nothing. There's just.
Hey, Peggy, can you let us know what res you're at? What res you're at? We're on. You may be close. But when you go there, like and not all reses are like that here. There's one I'm gonna say it's closer to Peterborough. First time I was really probably on it, and this was on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. And they have no stores, no cannabis stores whatsoever.
That's what I mean. The Blood Tribe in Alberta, they don't want them. They don't want any drugs at all. Like, whether you recognize cannabis as a drug or not, to some tribes, they still see it with the stigma of it being a gateway drug to harder things. And again, there's no alcohol too. They're right along the U.S. kind of border with Waterton and Cardston, and Cardston's a huge Mormon.
I see Peggy's. She's mentioned she's down at Tynega, and that'd be that's the one to my east, Peggy. That is, so I'll update that number from 40 to 60 to over 60. So I gotta say I've got at least over 100 stores on the res within an hour's drive of me. So it's
yeah. Well, like I said, I'm kind of in Bumfuck or British Columbia.
No, maybe in time. Maybe see what happens. Okay, where are we there? Okay, now these retailers wanted to take the government to court for a bunch of money because the government is failing to uphold the law. The stores are taking the BC government to court because they're not shutting down.
Okay, I now. Yeah, because they feel that they're not shutting down the illegal market.
Peggy, I have to completely agree with you, Peggy, or Terry, whoever is on the other end there, that has provided many jobs. There's no doubt about that. I know that our sponsor here, Legacy 420, lots of people have worked there over the years, and they always have a big staff. And when you drive through the place, you can see places that have been built. Some new housing has been built, or places have been repaired or gotten bigger. And maybe it's not. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Tim's place.
Yeah.
Last I knew, Tim had around 40 employees. I don't know what he has now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you just look at, there's others, that maybe aren't as big as Tim's, but maybe they have 25 or 30 employees, or that's all. It all adds up, and that all creates jobs within the community, paying jobs.
And even if you only have 3 or 4 employees, it's still 3 or 4 more people that didn't have a job before.
Yeah.
Right. Like, even you didn't get it, you say 20 and 25, I'm thinking that's absolutely terrific. Like, I work in a store.
There's all that spin-off jobs, all the spin-off jobs of well, here's a perfect example. As Peggy and Terry say, they say that I remember as first place, and I do as well. And look what they went from that first place, from that small store in the strip mall, to a 10,000 square foot facility with all that stuff in it, the labs, the production facilities, everything. All that had to be built. That all created jobs within the community.
Absolutely. Yep.
There's a place near him that was in a small trailer. Now when I go by there, you can see that they've built a new building.
Right.
And it's a stand-up.
It was nothing better than seeing people succeed. That just, it helps everybody all the way around. The whole community succeeds, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So it's just it's been a win-win for so many places, and I'm not sure why. Places that haven't embraced it as far as the reserves. Each one has their own reasons why. And so, just think of it as our municipalities. We had, our government gave them the opportunity to opt out, right? Reserves.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly it. Like they either opt in or opt out, and our community decided to opt in, but they did take a vote. There was resolutions brought in whether they were going to actually give cannabis licensing, business licensing in Cranbrook. We had the council had a vote. There was a whole not referendum. They had a meeting where private citizens could come in and voice their opinion, and we did. And it's a great the fact that we've got probably too many, but it doesn't matter. The fact that there are viable stores and access. And I think that even any organization, non-for-profit that I've worked with within the cannabis community, our main goal was dignified access. Now, whether this is dignified access or not, this is still access to cannabis for everybody, no matter whether you're a patient, recreation or not. There's still access to cannabis. Sure.
Another message from Peggy and Terry. Nice place to shop, they say, and to donate to the tribe. And they donate to the tribe.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to jump on to break because I've got a cat knocking on the door. So I'm going to go let the cat in while we go to break. All right. Return.
Check them out.
That's right. We'll continue the discussion when we get back. You're watching the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you think of the number of unique products developed in the fields, kitchens, and labs at Legacy 420, it's hard to think that one stands out above the rest. But tell that to the thousands of people who have tried this amazing breakthrough product.
This is our Sacred Salve. This is actually our extra strength. It comes in 5 different strengths. It's all natural, all organic. It typically works within 10 to 15 minutes of putting it on. It's good for arthritis, it's good for inflammation, any kind of pain. We're very proud of it.
Sacred Salve, so easy to apply, along with soothing relief. To select a strength that's right for you, come in and talk to your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
Pace Radio Network, by patients, for patients, and for those who want to know.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com.
Let's share PACE everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education. Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in the program. It's just me, and I'm not sure which puppy that is over there on Tamara's bed. Hey, you got two puppies there. Well, Tamara, I don't know where you're off to, but we're back, we're live, and I've got, we're talking about Legacy 420 for the break. I got myself a Legacy 420 vape pen, and just so you know, Peggy and Terry say thanks, and thank you, Terry and Peggy and Terry, for getting involved in the conversation and writing to us. We really appreciate that. But I'm not sure what happened to Tamara. Wonder if one of her other puppies. She's got like 10 dogs, so maybe there's something going on with the other 8. It's hard to tell. You can't see much from here. So it's so far tonight we've been talking about some. Oh, look at that! Oh, there's a little guy. I just got 3 there now. It sort of reminds me of the deer, the family of deer that we've got here on the property. That's what I'm calling family of deer. There's like 4 of them. I usually see 3, but I think there's probably 4, because I've seen 4 in one of the videos I've caught on the trail. On our trail camera that I've got out here, and been able to get some videos and some pictures of some of the deer, and I found a spot that's been very good to me, because some of the spots, what I find is that the cameras, no matter what sensitivity they got the thing, it seems to pick up a lot of. Oh, Mom must be on the way. I can hear the barking going on there now. That the trees, we get a lot of waving trees in the wind, and end up having to delete like literally hundreds of videos and pictures, just because that's all it is waving trees, or the grass, or there's the odd time that there's or bugs or.
Okay, I'm coming out. I'm on my way.
Here she comes.
Okay, I got everybody set. Stop.
There, you're back.
Sorry.
All right.
I had to go and deal with we got a fire going in the backyard, so I tried to do it in 3 minutes, and apparently I was a little bit short at the time.
Oh, you're outside dealing with the fire.
Fire, and my friend, my neighbor, and her son are out in the backyard, so I went and made sure that he had a drink and some cookies and
Oh,
you know,
where'd she go? Where'd she go? It's just me and the 4 puppies. Like, what's going on? They're not talking to me.
Leslie and Lincoln and Taven were out in the backyard by the fire, so I just made sure that they all had drinks and cookies and.
Yeah, just so you know, Peggy and Terry say thanks.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was just talking about my trail camera and some of the pictures that I've got, and that I found a good spot now where I don't get a lot of waving trees. But yeah, I've got 3. One that's really young, still covered in spots.
Oh yeah.
And then right out here on our side yard, right on the driveway, we've got an apple tree on the hill. It's right beside the driveway, and we go out there and find one of them out there eating the apples under the apple tree.
Oh yeah,
quite often. So then,
now, when does your hunting season start? Do you have a hunting season in Ontario too?
Yeah, we do. I'm not 100% sure. I think there's probably a bow and then there's a gun, but I'm gonna say November.
Ours has started already.
Has it?
They can't hunt them in town now. So.
Oh, okay. Safe in town.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So then they I went out there yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. And there was one under the tree. So I made my way up so far, got a little bit closer to it, so I snuck up to it. And then it spotted me and it laughed. It didn't go running, but it laughed. And it made its way to beyond some trailers that we got here in the yard. And so I ended up sneaking up towards the trailers. And then I looked around the trailer and there it was. It was probably I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 feet away from me. In the end, I probably got 4 or 5 videos of this deer walking, actually prancing. I called it prancer, prancing in front of me. It was in the end, it got within about 35 feet of me, maybe 30 feet. I was just blown away. I'm like, here I am, just in the, the urbanite guy, and now I'm out in the country, and here I am, this deer walking back and forth in front of me. And one time I moved and it jumped, but then it just kept on going. And
they've got a doe. If the doe's got a baby with them, a fawn with the dog, because they can be very aggressive. Not even trans ones. They'll come after Tess. She will come flying at you so fast that if she has any indication that there's any aggression. So just keep the dog. If you see
the dog wasn't with me.
Just keep.
When I did that.
She will. We've had many deer attacks in town on dogs because and they will come across the yard or across the street, just whoosh, and attack people because they've got babies, and it's just instinct, right?
Yeah. Peggy, Terry, it wasn't raining at that particular time. Now, just so you know, last night when we got home, it was raining, and there it was back under that tree again. It was sitting there eating away. Yeah, but I got some video footage of the 3 of them, the 3 deer, including the little wee one, that are all playing out in the woods. So, I've been taking them some of these apples back into the woods. So they've been eating out there as well.
Yeah. Well, like I said, because I'm in town, we've got town deer, and we're not allowed. There's a bylaw that we're not allowed to feed them, but people do anyway, and they come in to eat everything. I had some wheat that I was accidentally had spilt that I was growing for the chickens and for the rabbit. It accidentally spilled into my lilies. So it was growing on my lilies. Well, you can see the deer came along and ate it. And today I deliberately took all my tomato plants down and just left them laying on the ground because I know tonight when I'm sleeping they will come along and they will eat them.
They'll come, we took our tomato plants down. Gail says she's put them in the long grass, so maybe they'll come along and find them. Right,
but again, they're not eating that long grass. My jungle. They're eating that long grass. I have to mow it.
Okay, all right. So here we go. Peggy and Terry, they ask, was it raining? And I said, actually, I mentioned it when I got home, right? So they come back with this. So it's a reindeer.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
fine.
And it's a sun deer too.
Right? Needs a dancer and a prancer too.
If anybody here was named John, I'd say it was John's deer. But John, we don't have anybody here by the name of John.
It's John's dear.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, like I said, the wildlife. I had the raccoons in my veranda. Just
mhm.
eating
But
them.
it walked off and went behind another trailer. So I quickly ran over to that trailer, and by then it was probably 3/4 across the next field and just going.
Oh yeah.
It was heading somewhere. It had plans to go somewhere.
We're usually keeping their same like nomadic track, and that's the reason why we've got them coming because it's just like the same way they travel, right?
Yeah.
Creek, and my house sits on the bed of Joseph Creek. Like long before Cranbrook, there was a creek that ran right where my house sits, and they run that nomadic path, and they go right through the yard, across the street, right through my yard, straight through over to Baker, right towards the creek,
Yeah.
and then they hang out by the creek.
A
I've got
friend of mine, she's got a couple acres of land, and like in the wintertime, you can see the tracks. It's just a path all across her property.
Yep.
Because she's got some woods in it. So we got these trail cams, and she's hoping to be able to get some footage of the deer out in her property. So hopefully, yeah. Just having some issues, and I've been working on a camera, and I've got it working.
Have you got moose out in your area too? Because we've got moose, we've got elk too, right? So
in town.
Yeah. On the edges.
Well, we don't have either of those here.
No. And because I live like partially in the Elk Valley too, which the Elk Valley runs all through where I am. There's elk that cross the highways here too, like all the way up towards Kimberley as well. So we've got elk and moose, and so and they do come into town because of the fires, right? So we've got so many displaced animals. Like we never used to have raccoons either, but now we've got raccoons, and but elk, they're coming in near Elizabeth Lake, which was something that you would never normally see.
Thanks for stopping in, Peggy and Terry. Hope to see you again soon. It's just mainly what I've seen on my camera has just been the deer. I've seen some turkeys but I haven't. And I saw it was either a coyote or a wolf. It was 1:00 in the morning, so it's just a night shot, eh? Yeah.
Well, we've got an issue. Well, I don't know if you've seen the caption about the grizzly bears following those tourists in Banff.
Yes, I think I did.
Where those, they took like 15 minutes of these grizzly bears like following these tourists. Well, where I live too, we have that happening in Kimberley and in Campbellford.
Yeah.
Where they're just rolling through town. Like we're like basically told, like, I'm glad that my chickens have wire over the top of the enclosement because and a building that they live in, because there's but if the bear wanted to get in there, the motherfucker could, I'm sure.
Right. So how's your plants?
I'm worried because I brought them in the house, right? They're all in their bloom. I've got them under lights. As soon as it gets dark, I have to even turn the lights off in the kitchen and stuff. But they're still getting the outside light. They're still getting the street lights, right?
They're not getting the
complete blacked out. So
right, and I've seen plants affected just by those ones you stick in the ground, the solar powered ones.
Right? So I've got them in the kitchen with everything blacked out except for the kitchen windows, so I still got the street lights that beam in the kitchen window. It's pretty dark, but it's not blacked out. And what do I do with my kitchen windows? I'm not going to be putting tinfoil.
You don't have a room. You could, I guess, you put it back outside in the sun, don't you?
No, I have them under the LEDs, and I turn the LEDs on as soon as I get up in the morning. And then I take them and turn them off as soon as it turns dark at night, so the kitchen's dark.
So you got them under the LED light in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have a room. Yeah, well, then you don't have ventilation.
No,
Yeah,
because the bedroom
because
upstairs that I could have put them in has got the air conditioning in it, right? And the other
right.
bedroom, we ripped all the wallpaper and shit off, and it's a shit show. And the basement, I probably could take them down there, but then I could probably take them downstairs and put them in there. Actually, I probably
Yeah,
should.
because you don't want them to.
Over her mouth.
This, yeah,
But they're
this
already.
guy had like four of those solar lights. This guy had like four of those solar lights in his front garden where his plant was growing.
Yeah. So that might be tonight's actually after. Well, I've got too many projects. I got neighbors in the backyard, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe tomorrow morning when I get up because I can. But then I got, like I said, I've got that 400-watt downstairs, like
Right.
like that I could put them under, which the LEDs are 1,000, I think each. But I
Yeah.
could move all that too. But then I've got to move them back upstairs for the lettuce and because I got lettuce and other things under those
I've
things.
got, I've got, I've got stains on my fingers because I've been. I,
That's all.
I was before the show. I was going out and I was just taking off some of the leaves so I don't have to take off so many come harvest time.
I did some of that
Increase
too.
increase ventilation. Help to try to reduce any powdery mildew, so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
absolutely. Well, that's the thing. Even that squash that I've got outside's got powdery mildew on it. And I'm
Oh,
thinking,
I
we
I
had no
see.
rain. We had no rain. Like we had no moisture all summer long. Where the fuck is that coming from?
Yeah, really. Eh?
Humidity, like it's so dry, but you got powdery mildew. Like
Yeah. Wow. That's
and
yeah.
sunlight, direct sunlight on it. Like how do you get mildew when you got direct sunlight? It fucked me squash too. Like squash.
Any wind? Get any wind? Get any breeze?
Always, there's always a wind in this town. Like it's just like a shit show. Like that's what I mean. I don't understand how we got powdery mildew on anything. No
Yeah.
rain. We got lots of wind. There's lots of ventilation. It's like, except that it was super, super hot.
Right. Right.
I don't know.
It wasn't.
My cannabis doesn't have powdery mildew, but my squash does.
No, I've got some on some of mine, and I actually expected it because I'm growing different strains this year. But yeah, everything's growing. So I'm just going around cleaning up things and getting all covered in trichomes and getting sticky.
Well, that's always fun. I miss that part of it.
Yeah, it's well, see, I've always grown indoors because of I always lived in the urban areas, right? So now being outside, things are different. And
Like I said, I had those ones growing inside. I got them as clones, and I grew them inside. Then I put them outside for the summer, and now I brought them back in again. And I've tried that a few times and put them in garbage bins and had them on wheels and put them outside. And they were like 15 feet, big, huge, round, like 5 around and like 10-foot tall. Bring them in. As soon as I put them in the living room window, they died under lights. And I was like, what in the actual hell was I doing wrong? So I swore I'd never do that again. I'd never go indoor, outdoor ever again.
yeah.
But this one, like I said, if they live, they live. If they die, like, and that's where I'm at with it. Like, I love my plants, but I mean, if things grow good, great. If they don't, whatever, I'll try again
Yeah,
next.
well, why don't you? I guess you're not letting them bloom outside because of the town lights.
Well, that we've got it going to like -1 like overnight.
Yeah, we got frost warnings, and
and I'm not, like I said, that's why like I took my tomatoes, all my tomatoes, green tomatoes off the vines and stuff today and cut them back a bit. I
Well,
left some foliage there, but I mean, I got my strawberries and stuff like.
and if your cannabis is in a pot, then your roots are exposed to the cold.
Well, that too, and the fact that they're not going to get any bigger because they're in a 5-gallon pot. Like if the roots can't grow any deeper, they're not going to get any bigger. So I might as well let them just do what they're going to do. I can always get other clones. It's not like I'm like stagnant. I can't get more plants, and that's my thing. Like it's not like this is the last that I can never get any more plants. Plants now are abundant. You can actually have pretty good access to getting I've got access to clones quite easily. So if I want to just grow a couple plants in the winter underneath a couple lights on my kitchen table, I can. You know what I mean?
Kitchen table, grow your plants on your kitchen. Well,
Well, that's
People
the
do
thing.
grow
Like,
them in the windows.
that's it. But that's like I grow like basil on my kitchen table too, and that's lettuce on my kitchen table, and that's how
Mm.
I see it. Like you can do the whole like no bugs, no environment, blah blah blah. Sure you can. You can have your room all set up like I used to, and be all diligent about clean floors and all this stuff, and no hair, ma. Yep, you can. And now I just got a couple plants. They might bloom out, they might not. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's
I'm tired.
they.
I'm old. I'm tired. I just don't care anymore. Like I don't like I did my time of like growing 200
Well,
plants.
it is a lot of work. There's no doubt about that.
I'm good. Like I said, I did
Yeah.
that. Been there, and I'm tired.
Well, we just grow a couple. Just look after them. Just for the hobby of it.
That's pretty much what it is. Like
And if they, if you get an ounce or something off it, or 2 ounces off them, then
yeah, it's a bonus. But I just
yeah.
like growing the plant. The plant's a beautiful plant. I love the way it looks. If I could have more, and if I had power and an actual room where I could actually get into it again, I probably would. But right now, like I said, I haven't had power for 10 years. I've had 60 amp power for 10 years since I moved in this shit shack.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you don't have the power.
In this
Yeah.
shack for 10 years with no power. So again,
Yeah.
it was getting a license for the 49 plants that I could grow, and then we all know what happens to Tamara. The pipes burst in her basement, two
Oh,
times,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you haven't got a lot of power in that house.
no, exactly. So that's that, and that be what, and they want $10,000+ to fix it,
And if you only
and
got a 60 amp service, yeah.
right. So
100 amps.
I've got, like I said, I got those 2 LED little boxes I bought off Amazon that I did grow 4 plants last year that turned out really well. And again, I did 2 this year because I'm also working full time, right?
Right. Yeah.
And before I didn't work, I stayed home. I was, in bed. I couldn't move. And then I got, all things have changed. And now I've got a full time job. And
So years ago, if you had problems growing your cannabis, then and you couldn't get anything off of it or very small amounts. I remember you talking about buying cannabis and it was wet or there was problems with it. Now I guess if you have growing problems growing your couple of plants, you just go to the store.
yep. And I'm not paying $3,500 or $2,000 for wet, seedy garbage that somebody expects me to, sell to patients too. And that was something I think with the black market was really, hit and miss because you were like under the scrutiny of whoever, was able to bring you, and then it would be outdoor, it'd be greenhouse, it wouldn't be great. And you lose clientele that way. You don't have patients coming back if you don't
Oh,
have good
yeah.
medicine.
I would think that maybe legalization has had some people from the legacy market up their game.
They did.
Yeah.
But well, the thing is, because things became so pointless when they couldn't, like, even the res was not purchasing cannabis for anything more than $500 a pound because they were producing enough for themselves. They didn't need anybody else's interest, right?
Yeah.
So when you took stuff out to them, they would sometimes take it or sometimes not take it as an excess or for a designated grow or an illegal grow or whatever. But the maximum they would ever pay for a pound of cannabis was $500. When prior to legalization, everybody was used to getting anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500 a
Oh
pound,
yeah, 2 grand
right?
for sure. Yeah.
Right. So, a quarter pound, like $800, like, $200. And I mean, for so many years, and like, I'm not going to sit here and, be all mispressed and say, I wasn't along there. I did it. I bought those and I sold those and I helped patients and I gave it away and, put myself in the hole to the point that I'm probably still in the hole to several people that probably want to come and beat me up because I owe them, money for cannabis. And at this point, it was to help other people. You know what I mean? Like, um, but again, like, what do you do? But when it goes from being, you know, a commodity to being an absolute like liability, because now if you're caught growing more, you know, you're only getting $300 a pound for it. You kind of, you know, and you've got no market for it, and then you're going to
And
go for 14 years if you get caught
you'll be
growing.
in jail. Yeah, exactly.
So what's the point?
All right. Well,
You know, you had your heyday. It's over.
oh, I guess that last joke was too big. Wow. Okay.
Hey, what are you doing? I've got movement. Pardon me?
Grabbing a hoodie.
Oh, is it cold outside?
Well, you can go and find out because it's that time. It's that time. It's the end of the show time. So, person, place, a thing. Shout out opportunity.
To you, Al. I shout out to you and our sponsors on the end of every show of mine, which is Cannabis and Coffee with Marijuana, which I appreciate the opportunity to still be able to help educate on the network. So my shout out is to you and everybody involved, which is Green Irene and Kelly and everybody else is involved with the network, as well as our sponsors.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much. And I think I'll double that. Shout out to everybody here at the network for everything they do, and to the sponsors for supporting us here and making sure that our voices are heard, and our guests are heard as well, and the news and everything else that we've got going here.
And the fact that we can promote you for doing the best for patients that you can do. So I appreciate that Legacy 420 is still sticking their neck out, because you are. And the fact that you are able to, you know, do mail order and stuff and help patients all across the country, just not all in your nation. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you know, Limestone, they're new here to the network, and it's good to have them involved. They were great. Went down and visited them. My friend Bob and I went down and had a great conversation with them, and look forward to working more with Pierre and Margaret with their store. So
great. And to Campbellford Lifestyle, because they've been with us for a very long time.
Yes, they have been. And
sponsors, right? So let's not forget Campbellford Lifestyle, and you know, of course, you know, shout out to people that moved to Nova Scotia just because.
Just because. All right. Bye-bye. See you all later. Thanks to our sponsors, Legacy420.com, Limestone City, Hydroponics.ca, and the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. We'll see you all next week. See you later. Bye-bye.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.